Hi everyone, I'm Susie Turnbull, and I'm running for Lieutenant Governor of Maryland with Ben Jealous, and I'm in Annapolis tonight at a house party, and we have house parties across our state of Maryland today. We have people who want to listen to us and talk to us, and we're going to take questions later that people can text in as well. What we want to do is talk about the election and talk about why Ben Jealous is the best choice to be Maryland's next governor. I'm pretty excited about it, obviously, because I got to know Ben about a year ago. When I contrast Ben Jealous with Larry Hogan, who is our current governor, what I like to tell people is Ben has a plan for the future to make sure that we have schools that are back in #1 instead of #6. Our schools have fallen 6 places since Larry Hogan has been governor. We were first 5 years in a row. We also want to make sure that we have a healthcare system that works for everyone so that people don't have to worry when they go to sleep at night, that they are concerned and make sure that pre-existing conditions are continued, which is something that the current president wants to cut and our current governor has not stood up against. We're also wanting to make sure that we have a better economy. You know, the Baltimore Sun just today did an editorial talking about how Ben's plan makes sense, where Larry Hogan has let us stagnate. When you compare our state right now with others in the region, we're falling farther and farther behind. The headlines say that. Because Ben spoke about all these things in the debate, the only debate, because Larry Hogan refused to debate Ben more than once. In the debate on Monday, Larry Hogan was asked about education, so let's talk about that first. He was asked, what's your plan to make education better and to end the achievement gap in our state? And what was the response? No response. Ben answered really quickly. Ben Jealous said, what we want to do is make sure we have universal pre-K, so every child gets to kindergarten ready to learn. I'm a grandmother. I have a 3-year-old grandson, and I can assure you that the ability to enter kindergarten with that kind of assistance and a full day or even just a morning pre-K program would make the world of difference in getting him prepared for kindergarten. Every child, no matter what zip code they live in, deserves that. We also need to have classrooms with teachers who are respected and in 7 years probably deserve about a 29% increase in their pay. Because one of the things that Ben and I learned before we were endorsed by the 74,000 members of the Maryland State Educators Association, all of our teachers and educators across the state. Before they endorsed us, we went and we met with them all over Maryland. They'd never met Larry Hogan. What they told us is that their pay was so low that so many of them couldn't even live where they worked. People from Anne Arundel County were driving to Montgomery County, Howard County to Montgomery, or Frederick to DC. People from Montgomery County driving to DC because they were making thousands more in Washington, DC than in any of our counties here in Maryland. That's just not right. And the educators, the people who were working in those classrooms with those teachers, they were making not even a livable wage. And we have to change that. Because when kids are taught by teachers who have the ability and the training and the experience to really reach them, we're going to do better. And we need smaller class sizes to do that too. In Montgomery County earlier this year, there was a budget hearing. And it was really one of the most interesting things I've ever seen. One of the teachers brought a basket full of ping pong balls. Little basket. There were 34 or 35 ping pong balls in that basket. And she said, this is my classroom every day. And then she started shaking the basket, and ping pong balls fell out. And what she said then was, and what happens is that's how little kids are in a classroom. That's how they are. And when she shook them and some fell out, she said, and we're worried that we're going to lose some of them. We need to take care of our kids. And we need to make sure that they have an opportunity to have the training and the experience and the apprenticeships to make sure that if they're not prepared to go to college and don't want to go to college, they can have a career. We want to do that. We want to make sure that every person who graduates from high school can immediately enter the workforce in a good way. So those were our plans. It's pretty simple. It's really common sense. And what did Larry Hogan say? Nothing. He talks about the lockbox right now on television, and he tells you, oh, it's my lockbox. Well, it wasn't his lockbox. It was never his lockbox. It was the Democratic legislature who made that happen. And why do we have a lockbox now? And a referendum that will make sure that the money that was coming from the casinos, instead of supplanting other education money, actually supplements our education budget. Why do we have that? We have that because Larry Hogan wasn't doing that. And I can tell you, Ben Jealous will from day one. That's something he will do. He'll also work to build our economy. Many people don't know this about Ben, so let me tell you. He has been a businessman or a manager and run large corporations and large businesses his entire career. When he was the youngest ever head of the NAACP, he managed an organization that had offices across the country, headquartered in Baltimore. And since then, he's been a venture capitalist, building businesses step by step. So he would bring into office the brain and the experience of a businessman who knows how you can cut budgets, how you can work budgets, and how you can spend wisely to get results. Larry Hogan talks about record spending, but we talk about record results. That's what we're looking forward to. And people will say that things are hard. What you want to do is hard. I think it's just common sense. I think it would be hard not to do these things. For me, what I've come across and seen so many times is that people say to me, well, you know, Larry Hogan, he's okay. He's okay. He's not bad. And I thought about this week, and actually, even tonight, someone said something to me. I said, since when do we settle for not bad? Since when do we settle for C? I just remember, I have 2 kids. And one of them every once in a while would bring home a C. I gotta tell you, that was not a good day in my household. It wasn't a good day. Larry Hogan got a C this week. He got a C from the NRA. I don't think it calls for courage. I think that C is for cover from the NRA. And he's had a C in education. When you go from 1 to 6, that means you're getting a C. In our economy, it's getting a C. When you look at that graph in the Baltimore Sun today, what you see is we were last in the region. That doesn't make any sense. And in our region, Virginia, which was first, was below the national average. We shouldn't settle for C's. We shouldn't settle for a system right now where we have to end mass incarceration to make sure that people have opportunity and we have a good future. And that people have an opportunity to have free community college and potentially free higher education altogether so that we can end the student debt. I look back, Ben and I were lucky. We came from generations, from parents who made sure that our future was secure. How did they do it? Well, for me, I was the child of an immigrant cab driver. And I got college loans and grants and scholarships. And I went to college on my dad's tips. And every summer I worked to be able to pay for the next year. You couldn't do that now. Ben tells a story, actually, of him being in his grandfather going to University of Maryland, Baltimore Law School, and he paid $200 a year. This is a man who came to Baltimore in 1941 to work on the B&O Railroad and had a storied career as a probation officer in Baltimore. How did that happen? It happened because he got that 1 year of law school that allowed him to do that. It was $200 a year. If you looked at inflation, it should be $2,600 a year. Now it's $31,000. Do you think anyone can, or many people, can work a summer and make enough for their school year? It doesn't happen anymore. So kids are building up more and more and more debt. We want to do something different. We want to end mass incarceration and put those dollars into higher education. Every single dollar there will make a difference. It would be build for opportunity in the future. That's what we want to do. It's very, very simple. It's not radical. It's not surprising in many ways. It's the future. It's the next way to deal with things. Because people can't deal with this debt. Ben's grandmother was a social worker. She actually trained Barbara Mikulski. And when she did, and one of the things that she's always told Ben is that you have to look at things and you have to solve problems, and maybe you just don't solve half a problem, because then you still have a problem. His grandmother's 101 now, and she's had a lot of good advice. And her advice also told us, and what Ben explained, is that her pension, her AFSCME pension from working in the Maryland government and state as a social worker, helped her send Ben to college. Where he went to Columbia University, and then was when he graduated, became a Rhodes Scholar. He's done so many things, and he comes from such an interesting background. His grandparents, as I said, came in 1941. His mom grew up in the McCullough Homes Housing Project in Baltimore City. And then when she was in high school, she sued the school to integrate the school, because it was before Brown versus Board of Education, and it was part of that. So when I look back and I think of the things that she's taught him and where things have come from, I'm really proud to be running with this man who has such great parents, grandparents, skills, and he's a father. And I'll tell you one last thing. Our schools deserve better. When Ben looked at Larry Hogan, our governor, the other day, he said to him this: if our schools were having record results, why were kids sitting in coats, freezing in those schools in January? And why now, at the beginning of this fall, couldn't they go to school because there was the heat and the air conditioning couldn't work? And why, Ben said, as a father, do I have to take, as a public school parent, he takes water to school because the kids can't drink safely out of the water fountains. Those aren't record results. We can do better. So let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Let's hear what you want to say. What you need to do is go online. We'll have someone reading the questions to me. And here's the code for tonight. You can text to 22333, enter the following code in the message, and hit send. J House Party 646. Do you have it? Text 22333, J House Party 646. I'm ready here to answer your questions. Let's talk.
our first question is, what is Ben Jealous specifically going to do to help our schools?
Okay, the three things, the most important things that I spoke about is first, we're going to fully fund our schools. There's going to be a report from something called the Kerwin Commission that'll be coming out this fall. And what the Kerwin Commission has said so far is that our schools are underfunded by about $2.9 billion a year. So our plans are very simple. We want to fully fund our schools, pay teachers appropriate salaries, make sure that we have universal pre-K so that regardless of where you live, you have that opportunity. And we want to bring training into schools. Some of the things that have happened across our state in different counties is that you can work and send kids who know that they aren't going to go into college but want a specific career. And some of them are getting those classes from the junior colleges, from the community colleges already. And what we want to do is build that system stronger, make that stronger. It also helps for the students who are going to pursue a college career so that if they get those classes earlier, then by the time they finish high school, some of them would have an associate's degree potentially. And then you move them into college, and college is shortened and it's less expensive as well.
How will your healthcare program work? How will it be paid for?
You know, that's an interesting thing. First of all, it's going to take time. We call for Medicare for all. But what we also understand is that in order to get there, it will take time. So what we want to do is firm up our current system of the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare as it is known, and make sure that we strengthen people's ability to be part of the system, to enroll in the current system. Our state is advanced because in Maryland, we have what's called an all-payer system, which has saved our state hundreds of millions of dollars over time. We believe when you bring more people into the system, that the pool will allow us to save further. We also know that we would be able to have dollar savings that would be created by being able to truly attack the price gouging done by drug companies. States are allowed to negotiate, but the federal government, in the Obamacare plan, did not allow you to do that. But we can do that in the state. So we know it's going to take time, and we're going to need waivers to get there. But we also know that what our plan would do would bring costs down for individuals. Premiums have gone up for some Marylanders 100% in the last 4 years. The fix that was created by the legislature, and we're very happy with the fix, is a good one because premiums may shrink just a little bit this year. They were up 120%. So if they go down 20%, you're still doubling 100% increases in 4 years. We believe that 1 year fix was a good one, but we need a full-time fix because the status quo just won't work, which is why we want to move ahead.
Could you repeat the question after I said it just so people can hear it? What do you think is the biggest problem facing the state?
What do you think is the biggest problem facing the state? I think education and healthcare are the biggest problems facing our state. I think that it all comes together. And some of us might say transportation is the biggest problem, access to jobs. Some people might say that the ability to get adequate health care in some of our rural communities would say is one of the biggest problems. But the bottom line is really opportunity. The bottom line, all of it fits together, and that's education and healthcare and the economy, and those are the three issues that we're talking about. I think that what we want to do is make sure that we stem the direction of people feeling hopeless. We want to make a difference so that those who are really concerned about violence in their communities and who are drawn to violence in their communities have another way out. And that's why you get the kids into school, early childhood, you deal with them, and you also add the healthcare and mental health care services that we need in our state. We're fortunate because we have the Bay, but we want to protect that Bay too. So all of these things come together, but the bottom line is opportunity.
What is Mr. Jealous' alternative to Governor Hogan's 270 and 495 traffic plan to relieve the horrible congestion?
Well, to repeat the question is what is Ben Jealous's plan on 270 and 495? Larry Hogan is saying he wants to expand the roads with no plans to do so. No plans. He hasn't said exactly where the routes were going to be. He's talking about millions and millions of dollars, and he's coming up with conflicting comments as to what houses actually are going to be taken away. I lived about less than a quarter of a mile, probably about an eighth of a mile from the Beltway, from 495. And I can tell you, there's no room to expand the Beltway. We're not going to be able to expand it over Holy Cross Hospital. We're not going to be able to expand 270 right now in a quick way. I've also worked in government for about, I don't know, the last 40 years. And what I can tell you is this: to build a road, it takes 20 years. Remember the ICC folks? Larry Hogan wants to build roads, potentially pay for them and privatize them, pay for them with luxury tolls. We don't want that. What we want to do is expand potentially bus rapid transit. We want to invest in things that are going to be the 21st century solutions, not the 20th century solutions. And we could do it. We can build things down the median. We can make sure that we have more access to the rails that are coming into down 270. One of the things that I thought was crazy was when I heard how at 270 and people from Frederick, if they miss their train at 8:30 in the morning, they have to drive because there are no more trains. We need to invest in Metro. Mark Corman, who is the delegate from District 16, and Brian Feldman, a state senator from District 15 in Potomac, will both tell you. They fought for Metro funding tooth and nail. They never got support from Governor Hogan, who didn't want to fully fund Metro. And they fought and they fought and they got it. And what we need to do is invest in Metro in the Washington area and potentially make sure that there is somehow a connection to some other things up and down 270. We're going to have a purple line. We know how long that took. But what we need to do and make sure is that people have options that are 21st century and not 20th.
I love your platform. What can I personally do to ensure that you and Ben Jealous are elected governor and lieutenant governor?
I love that question. That question was, I love your platform. What can you do to help elect Ben and I? Okay, what you can do, go to benjealous.com. You can do two things there. You can volunteer and you can contribute. To volunteer, you click on volunteer, and you'll find 24 offices that are working full-time every single day across our state. We have 50 organizers that you can connect with who will put you to work, canvassing, phone banking, writing postcards, speaking to your neighbors. You can write letters to the editor. You can email your friends, and you can send us contributions. Because if you really want to see those TV ads, and I know you do, What you could do is go to benjealous.com/donate. You can send a check to Friends of Ben Jealous at Post Office Box 8715, Silver Spring, Maryland 20907. But to check that one, go to our website, benjealous.com. But the most important thing is to be positive and tell people that there is a difference. There is a difference. And with Ben Jealous, we can do big things again. Because what we want are record results. Thank you.